is definitely one that's scored very well in the one fly. This particular one, I think it's either with Rainey's or maybe Orvis, one of them, Orvis probably. And this one's called the Legend Golden Stone. This one was created pretty much for the one fly, same idea, something that set down a little bit lower and was a little bit more of a profile, looked a little bit more realistic. So same hook, again, number 8, 270, same thread on this guy. On this one, we're going to do a little bit more foam work. What I want to do is I got 2 pieces of 2mm foam here, and they're cut at a little bit of a taper. Okay, I want them pretty small on the back end and a little bit wider up on the front end. And what we're going to do on this one is on your side of the hook, I'm just going to tie in that tail end of foam right there. Okay, and when you're tying this foam in, anytime you're working with foam, find it works really well to do a loose wrap or maybe even 2 loose wraps and then pull your tension tight. If you try to keep tension on all the way over, it'll tend to rotate. There we go. There we go. And so I've tied that piece of foam on purpose on that side of the hook, okay, versus on the top or on the bottom. And now I'm going to take my brown piece and I'm going to tie that in on my side of the hook. Okay, and I've got a loose wrap here. And now I'll do another loose wrap. And then as I get it where I want it, then I'll pull that tension. Okay, that way I'm not causing this whole mechanism to spin around the hook. All right, so we have our yellow tied on, which is going to be our belly. We have our brown, which is going to be the dorsal part or the back. And I've just cinched it in like so. You know, if I want to, which I probably should, if I was going to fish this, I would tie down that little piece of foam right there. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to take and fold these materials, okay, these 2 pieces of foam. At the same time, I'm going to fold them forward, and I'm going to stretch them just a little bit, and I'm going to just make a little small segment right back there with a couple thread wraps, okay? Now that I have that segment formed and everything's facing forward, now I'll turn my foam so I have yellow on the bottom, brown on the top. Okay, it's just a little easier to attach everything by working it sideways. And so now what we'll do is we'll put a couple tails on here. Once again, I'm just going with goose biot here. And we'll put one over on this side. Same tie-in spot right where I've made that last foam segment. And I'll do another one over on this side. Whoops, there's 2 of them there. It'd be a triple tail. Now we'll tie one over on this side. And just trying to keep them about the same length. Secure those. Now what we'll do is I'll pull my foam back out of the way here. I'm just going to creep my thread right up onto the hook shank. Like so. That little gap. And now I'm going to go ahead and tie down what's left of these biots. This will all be covered up. There's another one someplace. There it is. Pull him back through here. There we go. That was a struggle, but we got it. Apparently the beer's working. And just tying down the waist in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start working our way forward a bit here. We're going to get 2 or 3 more segments. Just increasing the segment size a little bit as I go. Put the two pieces of foam together, loose wrap, and pull it tight. That'll keep it from jumping around, like I said. Now I'll pull my foam out of the way and I'll jump forward on my hook shank. Couple wraps to get us to move forward. And create another segment. Foam's pretty fun stuff to tie with. You can get some pretty realistic looking stuff. So I've got 3 segments on there. Yellow on the bottom, brown on the top. And one thing that we've noticed on this Glissenia, this mutant stone, is that because they do move around by skittering around on the water, their back set of legs sets back a little bit farther than your standard golden stone or Terra Narcissus. They really have some beefy legs back there. And they're a little farther back. So I'm going to go ahead and it's basically, we're going to call that about the midpoint of the hook. Okay. I'll just fold this foam out of the way. And if you want, you can, you know, the Renzetti's nice. You can tuck it out of the way like that, or you could put it on the hook point. And I'm just going to tie a single rubber leg in, doing some X wraps, kind of basically the same way you would tie a Pat's rubber leg. I want them perpendicular to the shank of the hook. And just make sure we've got enough wraps in there that it isn't going to come undone. Of course, if we were tying this for the one fly, we'd put about 5 pounds of glue on it right now. Make sure it's not going to come untied. Now I'll just fold these two forward and we'll build one more segment just right in front of that back set of legs, those rear legs. Now we'll just repeat that step, moving that foam out of the way so I can get my thread back on that hook shank. We'll do another.
Found that the depth of the segments affect the take ratio.
It's interesting. The depth of the segments. You know, I haven't really. Just as long as it's skinny and a little sparser. And like I said, mostly this one was created because of the weight of the fly. We wanted something that would, when those fish opened their mouth up, this fly would fall in. In fact, originally the guy I tied this for named this one the deep throat, because when we catch a cutthroat, the fly would be way back in there. And of course, Orvis didn't like that name, so, you know, we're not Kelly Gallup. We can't pull that yet. So we changed the name to the Legend or Golden Star. Okay, that last little segment like so. And so basically what I've had here is I've crept up a little bit farther than I want to, okay, towards that hook eye. And the nice thing about tying with this foam like this is where it's encompassing the hook shank, is if I want to, I can just wiggle everything back just a little bit. Still going to give it nice shape, but that's going to give me the room that I need. Okay. And so now on this one, we're going to go ahead and we'll strap our wing on here. On this one, once again, we're going to use a little of our polypropylene, our Grizz Frizz. Bare hair, definitely fine with this one, if you got it. If you can find it. I'm just going to put that wing on there like so, and I'm going to tie it in right in the middle, because I am going to fold this one back as well. A couple wraps like so, and now we'll fold that back on itself. The nice thing about doing that is that material, that wing's locked in there pretty well. It's going to have to come, you know, through those folds in order to come undone. Versus if I would have just clipped it right here, that wing could eventually pull out. Okay. So now we've got room for that last set of legs, which is going to go just right here. Move that little piece of foam out of the way. This last set of legs is going to go in just behind the hook eye. This one's a little overdressed, and we kind of do it on purpose like that, because like I said, we want this fly to be a little lighter, and when they open that mouth, it's going to fall in there a little better. Flipping out. And so there's that last set of legs. And now we'll do this last segment right here. How's that? Better?
Better.
Awesome. Okay, so we have our last set of legs in. If you look at this guy from underneath, all yellow underneath, pretty nice segmentation. The body's pretty narrow, pretty small. Okay? We got our wings sitting up here, and I know we talked about this thing being the mutant, that the males don't have a wing, but that's because we can cut this and trim it if we need to, if that be the case. All right? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take one more little piece of foam. This is similar to what we did on the double wing. And I'll cut my little wing case in there. Like I said, this is probably more for the fishermen than the fish. And then we'll take this last piece and put it right on top. And we're going to use that to push our wing and hold our wing down a touch. And now in that same spot, we'll just kind of stack this like so. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to flip that over so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to clip this bottom piece of foam off. Clean that up a little bit. And we'll cut our head to length here. And then I'm just going to tie it off right on the foam. With some whips. And now we'll trim our head just a little bit more accurate to that stonefly. Couple eyes on it. Okay, now this was where this one takes a little bit of a twist. Back when this fly first came out, this was a pretty innovative thing. Nowadays it's pretty common to knot your rubber legs. Okay, there's a lot of fly patterns out there. The Pat's rubber leg, quite a few different ones. And we definitely noticed that it does make a difference to put a little knot in there. And so what we're just going to do is we're just going to take and place a small overhand knot in each one of these legs. Yep, it takes a little bit more time. You cry a little bit more when you put this one in the bush, but it does give you a little bit better profile. We think it fishes a little better this way. We could be crazy. Trying to get my legs to kind of go the right way. You can roll your knot just a little bit. That's how you get them to go the direction you want. Maybe we can see this. I'm just taking and doing a twist and poking the tail end of the rubber leg back through that knot, sliding it up to where I want. Try to do it up like this, and then pull that knot tight. And if I want it, if it's pointing the wrong direction, I can just roll my knot just a little bit back, and that'll get it to point the direction I want it to. Okay? Come on the near side here. Same thing. That one's pointing the wrong way, so we'll just slide our knot just a little bit, maybe out. That'll get us pointing in the direction we want. If anybody's had a chance to watch any of Ken Burkholder's stuff, he was the club sandwich guy originally back in the day. Great guide that worked on the South Fork for a long time, but that's kind of his contribution definitely to Swan Valley and the South Fork was a lot of this foam stuff and these knotted legs. And of course we all learned it from him, and we still do it. So had a little bit more of a complicated time consuming fly, but this one definitely has worked well for us. There we go, close enough. So now I've got all those really cool elbows in this guy. We'll take and put some marks on the leg. This just makes the legs look a little bit more realistic. Silicone legs would work fine for these guys too. They just don't quite have the bounce that the original round rubber does. And we're looking for the action on these guys. We'll give our legs a little cut. Most guides that are guiding on the South Fork nowadays are carrying scissors, glue, and a whole bunch of Sharpies with them. You know, if the Chernobyl they're fishing, the tan Chernobyl isn't doing it for them, they'll color the belly purple or pink or whatever until they start finding one that does work better for them. Originally this fly had some Russian boar. I think that's probably what it says in the recipe, but there's a great new material just came out from Hairline. This is called Voodoo Fibers. It's a really fine, small mylar almost material, and it comes in a ton of different colors, but I can see where this would be great on lateral lines, small legs on beetles, stuff like that, but it works great for an antenna. So we'll put our antennas out the front of this one, just two of those guys. I'm just going to use a little Zap gel here. Super glue would work fine too. Of course, everybody's leery of working with glue. I am too. Great way to ruin a good fly. Pull out the glue. And I'm just putting a little of this Zap-A-Gap in between these two pieces of foam. Now I'll just take my two pieces of antenna here and slide them right in between those two pieces of foam, and then we'll just push those shut for a second or two. Hopefully you don't, whoops. See, that's glue for you.
Larry, is it easier for you to do it this way as opposed to tying it in with that top piece of foam?
To do the antenna?
Yeah.
Definitely, if they didn't stick out so far out the front for the whip finish, that would be the easier way to go for sure. Yep. Typically what I'm doing when I'm tying these is I'll get them all pretty much tied and then go through them, finish them up with the antenna. I mean, this is one of those flies over the years that was definitely one that we had to have sent off and have tied by Orvis or somebody to make it practical for us. So, but this is the Legend Golden Stone, and it definitely works really well for the mutant stone or the Classenia that Brett's going to talk about. Great little pattern. Should be available in a few more sizes and a few more colors from Orvis, actually in 2019. So, but that's a little bit of what we've got. So, you know, we've got a pretty good idea of what we're trying to imitate here. One thing on these golden stones that Brett's going to talk about, they are a little bit smaller than what you're used to on your Henry Sport golden stones that follow right behind salmon flies and that type of stuff. So size 8s and 10s are quite fine versus size 6s, a little bit smaller. And then, like I said, Brett's going to tell you how to fish these things. Really a fun time to go fish the South Fork, for sure. Kids go back to school in September and the river lightens up a little bit, and that's prime time for the mutant action.